I'll just start up. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. We don't have any birthdays here, so just saying, I don't think we have any anniversaries either. I don't see. I'm going to let Mary Jo talk about it.
Okay, great.
And Heather talk about it. Yeah.
You were first in line.
Yeah.
Okay, so two things. One, if you saw in your email, we are collecting candy for our annual hunts. If you have any and you just need to hand it to someone, me, my mom, Miss Debbie can easily take it off your hands. If you need to drop it off somewhere, obviously the office, any of the Sunday school rooms, just find a spot. Just put it. That's fine. So then, yeah. And then my teenagers are so wonderful that they're gonna hide, Phil, be a bunny. We'll see. And then the second thing, next Sunday is another small group meeting, post CAT assessment presentation to come chat with us. I'm gonna be honest with you. Last week we had one adult and one teenager. In order for us to be able to make the best summary of what you, not we as the transition team, but you all want, who we are, what we are, where we want to go next, it needs to be more than just me and my 9 peers sitting around a table making these decisions. We really need your input. There will be more small groups after this next one that will be, yes ma'am, I love a good question.
It's not a question, it's a statement, so I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but I don't usually like to talk in front of people.
I know, that's why I answered you immediately.
I think one of the things I've picked up for my lack of astuteness is that this whole process is not about quote unquote finding our next priest and picking that person. It's finding us in the process.
Correct.
And what is important to us, who we are.
Correct.
And then kind of putting ourselves out there
Correct.
as the potential candidates, if you will.
Correct.
So it's kind of backwards from what I originally
Yes.
kind of perceived this whole thing as.
Yep. And I think
so
everyone is on board with you.
These meetings are an opportunity maybe to not stand up in front of everyone and turn beet red like me, and have a quiet moment to share your thoughts.
Correct.
What's important to you, your family,
Yes.
what you see us as in the future, because I think this is a time where, sadly, it's an opportunity for people to just sneak out the back door.
Correct.
It gets uncomfortable, it's hard, it's not easy. You have to do a little bit of soul searching on yourself. And that's a quiet opportunity to share what's important to you. And
Yes.
you guys will not go further, maybe not in front of everyone,
Nope.
but you'll put it in the list of what's really important, who we are, what we are, and share that with what we are going to become for the future.
Yes.
Maybe those words will mean something to someone in a different way. I hear things different sometimes, so. that's not-
Can we just clap?
Well,
I'm just saying, her husband's on the transition team, and she said it so much more eloquently than he did. I'm just kidding, Tom. I'm just kidding. So please listen to Amy. It is not about us creating something for someone else. We need to know who we truly are before we can determine what it is that we need, right? So this is your opportunity to ask questions and to figure out and add your piece to it. There will be more small groups in the future that will be very specific and very particular, but we need to that's like 2
Big
steps
picture
ahead of
first.
where we are right now. So my team and I cannot develop what those next small groups will be to make those next steps if we don't hear from you. As you saw, the CAT had a lot of numbers and a lot of graphs and a lot of data, but that's a lot of graphs and a lot of data. I need to be able to also understand opinions, thoughts, desires. So, and listen, if you don't come, then I'm gonna have Amy speak all the time, and she didn't like it. So for Amy's sake, yeah, right, for her sake, come and hang out. So yes, next Sunday, in between March 30th, in the Durham room, 10 o'clock, get a snack and come join. I think that it is Marty, I believe, is it you or Fred? Maybe it's not you, you're looking at me like that. I think it's Marty, Fred, and Beth Hester will be there waiting for you. Okay. You're standing up like you're going to.
I am, because
He
I
likes to
think
correct
the advantage that I have is that I've been through this process and led congregations through this process multiple times. So I kind of know where we need to be going. So at this point in the process, what I want to remind us is our focus is on the cat and the cat results. So, so we're not going beyond that. There'll be lots of opportunities to do that. But specifically what we're looking at is the cat. Some questions that I have found helpful is, as you heard kind of the cat reveal, what affirmations did you hear about Saint G's? Like, this is spot on, right? What were the head scratchers? It's like, well, that's kind of curious. I wonder what that's all about. And what do you need further information on? What needs to be just talked about more? What's kind of unclear? Those three questions help to focus on the cat. We're not looking at problem solving at this point. Our default is to try to name a problem and fix it. That's not what we're doing right now. So again, we're not looking at 3 million suggestions of how to make things right. What we're looking for is your understanding of what the cat is telling you about St. G's and where you think it is spot on and where you are not quite sure. I think it's going to help in that conversation so you don't go all over the place. There will be other opportunities to go in different directions, but at this point we're trying to unpack the cat for ourselves. Is that helpful?
Just a quick bingo update. Again, thank you to everybody that's contributed. If you signed up for a filler that you were purchasing, they were due today, but if you didn't bring it today, it's not a big deal. We leave a little buffer, but I do need it by next Sunday. So we will only be a week from bingo. We have to get them started. So if you forgot, not a problem. Drop it off at church one day this week or bring it next Sunday, because we're dealing with that early next week anyway. Tickets are still just the main thing. There's a lot going on that weekend in the community, and I think that it just is what it is. But the more we can get the word out, the more tickets we can try to sell. That's really where it is right now. So we're looking forward to it. We have a lot of really great stuff, and you guys have done a great job of filling all that in, so we appreciate it. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are at least half the tickets sold yet?
No. So we're not. Well, we might be at about half. Where I have a lot of will call tickets right now, so it's hard to say, but we might be at about half of what we sold in the past. So, it's still going to be a great night, and we'll do what we can, but just keep advertising for us.
So I was sitting in the office this past week working on bulletins, and I said, when I come back, it's going to be like Holy Week. So I want to talk a little bit about Holy Week. The schedule is in your bulletin. I am doing things differently. Part of my kind of experience as an interim is that you have this kind of brief opportunity to experiment, try to do things differently than you have in the past, and just see, how was that? And the reason that it's safe to do that is there's absolutely no guarantee that the priest you call either has the gifts, the talents, or the inclination to do any of this stuff, right? So you can do it 1 year and that's it, or you can do it 1 year and say that was really a good way to do this particular service, and you do it in the future. So Palm Sunday, fairly similar. Again, I don't know what your practice has been, but we'll begin in the parish hall with an opening. We'll do a short procession. We'll do blessing of palms at the door of the church. We'll proceed with the Eucharist. What I do differently is, for the first part of the service, really through communion, the focus is on palms. So the focus is on Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem. The music will reflect that. The gospel will reflect that. And then after communion, we shift and we do the Passion Gospel after communion to set up Holy Week. And we then end the service in silence to regather again on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that's the piece on Palm Sunday that's different. For Maundy Thursday, I'm doing what I call a modified Seder meal. I know from our conversations with you all, you have done Seder meals in the past. I'm uncomfortable taking someone else's sacred ritual and pretending that it's ours. So, and also, who has the time and the energy to fix lamb, and it has to be gefilte fish, it has to be in there somewhere, it's not a good Jewish meal. So we're not going to go through all of that kind of bother, but we're using the structure of a Jewish Passover as a way of entering into the experience of Jesus' Last Supper. It was either a Seder meal or it was the actual Passover. So we know that was kind of Jesus's ritual for the Last Supper. And we will incorporate into that some aspects of our own tradition. So normally at the beginning of a Seder is when you wash hands and wash feet. And so we'll do that to begin the service. We will go through the story of Passover. We'll go through the 3 of the 4 Passover symbols, and we'll do the Eucharist about the time that we think Jesus would have done the Eucharist in the midst of that meal. All of this will happen in the parish hall. We'll probably need some kind of a sign up so we know how many people are coming. The food itself is simple. Think of hummus, pita bread, and veggies. So if you're hungry, eat before you come. It's not meant to be a big meal. We will listen to scriptures as we're eating, so we're not chatting. We'll kind of follow kind of the monastic way of doing meals for that. And then we will come process into the church for the stripping of the altar. And a short watch. The church will just be open until 9 o'clock if you want to stay for some prayer. On Good Friday, stations at noon, the church will be open until 3 for private prayer. And then at 6 o'clock in the evening, we will be doing the Good Friday liturgy. That I think is fairly straightforward from the prayer book. There's nothing. It is a beautiful liturgy, and when it's done well, you don't need to do much to it. I think the only thing that I incorporate that's not in the prayer book is a contemporary version of the reproaches, and we're using an alternate version of John's Passion Gospel. So I think that's all that needs to be said about that. The Great Vigil is the oldest service we have. Goes back to about the 3rd century. It has 4 movements to it. So think of the vigil as a symphony with distinct movements. If the weather is good, we'll begin at the fire pit with a nice bonfire. We will process into the parish hall for the next movement, which is the hearing of the scripture stories. There are 3 stories from the Old Testament that we will use. I have scripts for 2 voices for each of those. If someone is a storyteller and would like to just simply tell the story. The Red Sea story is the one that I'm going to suggest is the one that can lend itself well to storytelling because it's fairly, it has nice pictures that you can easily tell. So renewal of baptismal promises will probably happen in that context, and then we will come into the church for the final movement, which is the Eucharist, the first Eucharist of Easter. In the past, my understanding was that this was all blocked off and the lilies were hidden behind a black screen. And I said, well, that's just more work for the altar guild, and I believe in less work rather than more work. So when we come in, the church will be decorated for Easter. And we don't need to hide things or anything else. We'll come in here, and the first thing we'll smell will be the lilies and whatever other flowers you will use. If you have never done the vigil, I encourage you strongly to experience the vigil once. You are in some ways kind of channeling the experience of first Christians, for whom this was the service that ended Lent and moved folks from the tomb of Holy Saturday to Easter. And it has its own little drama to it. So it's a great service. Easter is Easter. So that's gonna be just normal. However you all do it here. Hopefully, I won't do anything to mess that up. Okay. All right.